indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before the meeting begins, I would like to announce that board member Joseph Bittner has resigned from the Forest Hills School District 142 School Board effective today. I'd like to thank Joe for his many years of service with the district and wish him well. Please call the roll.
Mr. Burns?
Here.
Mrs. Dodd? Here. Mrs. Benalis? Here. Mrs. Ackler? Here. Mrs. Durbin? Here. Mrs. Hollinger? Here.
At this time, the board welcomes comments or questions from the public present. Is there anyone who would like to come forward? If so, please identify yourself before your comment, and please address the board. Anybody? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I suppose the heart pounding never stops whether you change what boardroom and which board members. Good evening. My name is Valerie Exclusive. And actually I am a parent of 2 alumni of District 142. In fact, both my kids were under the governance of Mr. Behringer through Foster Elementary School, and then they moved on to a mixture that eventually landed with Mr. Orth. While I myself have my own issues that I was able to at least touch upon momentarily during one brief phone call with Dr. McDermott, who I'm most appreciative that this board acquired. He was able to take my concerns, allow me to go back in history, yes, a little bit, and talk a little bit about that, but also allowed me the moment to talk about a current concern, and that is the devaluing of the diplomas that this board has authority to issue to these students with what I feel, at least from the outside looking in, because this is the first evening that I've been at one of these meetings, and yes, I brought a camera. This is something I've done well over 100 of them throughout my community. But I guess I am kind of concerned how everything has sort of kind of landed, and now you just made another announcement of a resignation. And I guess I wanted to first go on record that I do believe very strongly that Mrs. Ackler does need to resign. I don't think that anything less would provide justice to those who have been victimized. And that includes all the children's diplomas that are being devalued because we have no resolution to counter it. And I think that's where I'm stranded, which is why I came to the meeting with more of a mind open to listen, to what's going on. She was censured last meeting, so I don't know what tonight's going to look like, but please be aware that I myself have concerns about retaliation that were never really addressed, and that for me, in my experience, I feel like it seems to still be a tradition here only by a select few, not necessarily a broad brush of the entire board. And I hope to be a part of the conversation to bring more resolution and solution to this type of bullying, because this is just extraordinarily unacceptable and intolerable. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Jack Hilly, 14542 Laverne. I'd like to thank President Curran, Vice President Doff, Secretary Benalis, members Hollinger, Dermott, and now former member Bittner for their dedication, professionalism, and the ability to conduct the business of this district during what I believe is an embarrassing time. I don't know of a better way to say that, but I'm not going to rehash what's been done. I spoke here in February about Ms. Ackler's conduct in January. Nothing changed. Then there was the April meeting. And I want to thank the board for making a change, trying to make a change, doing what you did. The open wound that's been left by Ms. Ackler's actions is not going to close anytime soon for this district. And I hope we can move forward, but in moving forward, I think her resignation would be the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No one else?
I have something to say, please.
Yes.
I would just like to bring up what was brought up at the last month's board meeting. Just an inquiry in regards to the violations of the other members of this board that were the same violations as stated by Roxana Ackler. And if the interviews with board members included on hate YouTube videos, the hate Facebook pages, an editorial taken out in the Midlothian topic slandering her, as well as people showing up in her home, strangers knowing her children's information. It's frightening to our people here. I am a member of this community, and it's very concerning. So I'm asking if anything's going to be reviewed in regards to the policies that have been broken by other board members. It's against policy to publicize any information within this board according to the policy of these members. So if anybody is in the public eye, according to what the policy states, they cannot publicly speak of other board members. So that was in fact violated. I'm just asking if it's been reviewed, what I had stated last month.
I think you're talking about Mrs. Holmes's
I
review.
don't feel it's necessary to point fingers at anybody. I'm
But
just trying to point out
they-
an issue.
They have been talked to, they have been addressed.
Okay.
If you're aware of the flow chart that we have,
Mhm.
the first thing is we discuss it with them and tell them it can't happen. And once it goes past that, then we go to other criteria.
Which is why I asked for guidance, because I know that it was supposed to be discussed in private with respect to your board. It's just a concern that it's a threat to children as well. I understand that people are upset and hurt by the situation, but I would also be concerned for children as well, for strangers showing up to our home. It's a little frightening.
We're being as fair as possible. That's what I said.
In regards to the flow chart, I didn't have any of the preamble to the session. So just FYI, if somebody can put that in record. Thank you.
I want to say something.
Yes, okay.
My name is Jennifer Marie Odoms. I am a parent in this district. My first question is, how are we going to make our board at peace again? Are there any kind of resolution we're going to come to about the current board members? Are we gonna get to the point where we can just handle business like as normal? And everyone get along and do what they need to do? Or are we just gonna
Have a
continue at
Roxanna
war?
show
Or
every
we're gonna
time?
continue at war? I'm looking for
We're a
peace.
board of 6 now, and everybody has a varied opinion, and sometimes they disagree, and hopefully we'll have some very good discussions going forward.
Which is totally understandable. So are there any openings on the board right now?
There will be an opening that will be posted. Dr. McDermott has to talk to the South Cook Association, and there will be, the board seat will be posted, and we will take resumes, and then we will determine from there whether we'll have interviews, depending on the number of resumes. Okay?
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, Parent-Teacher Association representative?
School may be adjourned for the summer, but the PTA is hard at work. Due to our hard work this year, the PTA will be able to give all 4 schools an extra $1,300 to spend. Reading bags, gym equipment, and buddy benches are among the items on the list to be purchased. We have installed our new officers for the 2016-2017 school year. They are as follows. President Melissa Krim, Executive Vice President Melissa Flaherty, Treasurer Kathy Slonsky, Secretary Kristen Berg, Ridge Vice President Mary Durbin, Kirkshire Vice President Darcy Alaska, Lisa Vanderwall, Foster Vice Presidents Dawn Obolsky and Tracy Zernickis, Philly Vice President Christine Callens, Membership Chairperson Kathy Rogie, Ways and Means Chairperson Heather Schaefer, Arts and Reflections Chairperson Megan Manny, Environmental Chairperson Jennifer Odoms, Public Relations Chairperson Christine Mahalik, Special Events Chairperson Janet McKeebley, and Lead Teacher Representative Sandy Vitale. We underwent PTA 101 training from the state of Illinois and are planning a Learners 101 training course in July. We are in the process of planning our calendar for this year. We will be making many changes and have new and exciting events in the works. The calendar will be ready for packet pickup. APT is looking forward to a successful, engaging, and positive school year.
Thank you, Melissa. Consent agenda. Are there any items to be pulled from the consent agenda for District 142 for discussion? Anyone have anything? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as printed and publicly posted in the board meeting agenda?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Goff?
Yes.
Mrs. Hollinger?
Yes.
Mrs. Canales?
Yes.
Mrs. Ackler?
Give me just 1 second. Okay, yes.
Mrs. Durbin?
Yes.
Mr. Curran?
Yes. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda cooperative ratification as printed and publicly posted in the board meeting agenda?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Hollinger?
Yes.
Mrs. Goff?
Yes.
Mrs. Canales?
Yes.
Mrs. Ackler?
Yes.
Mrs. Durbin?
Yes.
Mr. Curran?
Yes. May I have a motion to approve the Support Education Association SEA contract for 2016-2020?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Goff?
Yes.
Mrs. Canales?
Yes.
Mrs. Ackler?
Yes.
Mrs. Durbin?
Yes.
Mrs. Hollinger?
Yes.
Mr. Curran?
Yes. May I have a motion to adopt the resolution abating the working cash fund to the education fund in the amount of $550,000?
So moved. Second.
Any motion and a second, any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Hollinger?
Yes.
Mrs. Durbin?
Yes.
Mr. Curran?
Yes.
Mrs. Goff?
Yes.
Mrs. Canales?
Yes.
Mrs. Ackler?
Yes.
I'd like to welcome our school principals as they present updates on the happenings at their schools. Mr. Berenger.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. 3 quick things. First of all, our student recognition. We held our annual awards assembly on June 2nd. Melanie Okel and Donovan Weekly were our Rotary 4-way test award winners. Top-notch kids, top-notch, and there was really no question about it throughout the school year. Stevie Belkey, another wonderful young man, he won our grand prize for our PBIS random drawing. He won a new 15-speed mountain bike, so it was really cool. He was very thankful about it too, of course. Field day was held almost a month ago already. I can't believe it. Mrs. Edis always puts on a great field day, but field day doesn't come together unless we have parents that come and help us out. So I want to publicly thank all of the parents who came out to assist us with our field day. And our 5th grade students held their autograph party on June 2nd. Very touching to me. They gave me a nice little poster with all their signatures on it, saying thank you to me for the work that I've done for them, and it really touched my heart. And, it was really special. It made the year very worthwhile. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Zerher?
Good evening, everyone. So our end of the year wrap up, we had our celebration. It was a huge success. Thank you to Mrs. Doff, Mrs. Banales, and Ms. Rose for being there to celebrate with our students and shake their hands. It was a wonderful celebration, and they're all ready to go on to 1st grade. We're sad to see them leave. We also transitioned our preschoolers into kindergarten, so we're ready for that new batch to start up on the 1st day in August. A lot of summer work going on, lots of cleaning, organizing going on at Ridge. Focus on Families continues to provide family opportunities throughout the summer months. So today they had their summer party over at Jean Leonard Park, which was a lot of fun. A lot of families joined us today because of the beautiful weather. They have a field trip to the splash pad going on in July, and then they are still doing summer visits as well with our families. And then staffing, we're seeking out a few additional paraprofessionals over the summer to ensure staffing is complete for next school year. Any questions?
Thank you. Mr. Cooley.
Good evening, everyone. We had our award ceremony on June 1st. We ended up giving out hundreds of awards to those students that earned their academic and their attendance recognition over the course of the year. We had fifth grade students earn some specialty awards just for fifth grade. One of them was the Straight A Award from first to fifth grade. Every report card, every year, nothing but straight A's. That award went out to Chris List. We are extremely proud of his accomplishments. We also had our four-way test winners. This year was me and Teal, and also Chris List. So we wish them nothing but the best if they will not to Billy. Summer kickoff was on the very last day of school. It was a huge success. We had a new vendor this year, the Fun Ones. They came out, they brought a bunch of different carnival games, some inflatables. The kids loved it. We had a huge showing for PTA volunteers, so thank you to Ms. Cram and the rest of the PTA parents who helped put that together. Thank you so much. I also want to thank Dr. Leopard. She came out and volunteered to get silly string as part of our final send-off for the school year, so it was her and myself up there on the stage. The kids just got a award out there, so it was a wonderful event. Last but not least, a lot of summer projects going on. If you notice, the blacktop has been seal coated and restriped. Fresh paint in the front of the school right by door 1. Landscaping, planting, staining of a new picnic bench over by door 9. We're busy converting half of the library into a 21st century technology lab. Going through boxes of interventions and special ed supplies, just tons of things happening as the year winds down. We're also getting ready for the beginning of next school year in August, so lots going on. Questions?
Thank you. Mr. Orth.
Good evening, everyone. We had a wonderful graduation ceremony to send off our graduates, so thank you to everyone. Thought it went very nice, with a lot of compliments on the ceremony. Staffing, we've been interviewing, trying to get our positions filled for next year, analyzing scheduling, working with Dr. Leopard and Dr. Morris too, to look at some of our intervention students, so make sure that we get those spent in place appropriately. Our conference track meet this year was a huge success. Our boys took first in the conference, so great job, and the girls took fourth this year. So great job to Coach Robbins and Coach Lyons for another successful season. Our field days, the kids had a blast. We had 2 days of field days. One day we were inside because of the weather. We did a lot of fun activities, and then we were outside the last day, so I think it was very enjoyable. We also brought all the kids in at the end, and we gave awards to our honor roll students and recognized them to finalize the year. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. I'd like to welcome our district leaders to present updates on their happenings. Dr. Morris.
Good evening. The Standards-Based Report Card Committee has completed their work on the grade 3 report card. It will be introduced in the 2016-2017 school year. We'll begin looking at the 4th grade report card next year. At the end of each year, we survey the parents who most recently transitioned to the Standards-Based Report Card. So we did survey our 2nd grade parents at the end of this school year. We had 47 parents respond, and the vast majority of them indicated that they were comfortable and satisfied with the format of the report card, the clarity, and the information that it provided them about their students' progress. So that's always good to see. We want to keep our eye on how our parents are responding to these new initiatives. District 142 has received its TDE and TBI and LEPS allocations. Those are our ELL grants. This year, the district will receive $42,210 from the TDE TBI grant and $12,481 from the LEPS grant. That is about $10,000 less than we received last year, but that is because we have fewer EL students enrolled in the district. We had fewer students that we served in kindergarten last year, and we had more students exit the program last year. In addition to that, St. Damien reported fewer EL students. So that is a fair and I think equitable allocation. I will be submitting that grant this week. With regard to the Title I and Title IIA grant, those have not been released. The funds have not been released and the applications have not been released. A lot going on in the state. The federal government is reluctant to release those funds until we have a state budget for education. So those are being held up. Those applications are typically due at the end of June, but the application hasn't even been released yet. So as soon as it is uploaded online, I will complete that application and We will be ordering materials for the Go Math program for grades 1 through 5 after July 1st. The Midlothian Company will continue the Big Ideas pilot for the middle school. They will allow the district that will allow us to collect more data on our students' progress. We only had that pilot implemented for about 5 months last year, so that will give us more time to gather data to evaluate the resources. The teachers will keep the teacher editions. They will be able to keep the resources. The technology component will remain intact. The teacher management system, all at no cost. I'm still in the process of negotiating the student workbooks, so I'm going back and forth with our sales rep on that. So next time I meet with the board of ed and curriculum instruction committee, I should have a solid number on that. Materials for the K through 5 science kids have been ordered and received, and we'll start to put those modules together next month. At Kirkstone and Foster Schools, we're designating one classroom to be a science classroom, so I'm also looking into furniture and other equipment to at least begin to furnish those rooms. So the teachers have a designated place to bring their students, and we have a designated place to house their materials. The teachers have the new curriculum maps, links to the resources. I'm also talking with Tara Kristoff, who is the South Cook Science Liaison. She also does the science professional development for South Cook, and I'm talking with her tomorrow about providing professional development for our district. That would be at no cost because those are foundational workshops provided by South Cook. So that would be really great to have her on board and provide some ongoing professional development as we implement next year. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. How are you? Hopefully everybody's been able to read their Engage 142 newsletter, front to back. I think it got delivered to everybody's house this past week. So I know we put a lot of time and effort into talking about the great works that's being done here at the district. So hopefully the community has enjoyed it. And I want to thank Sue and Dr. McDermott for their efforts in helping write it and lay it out and get it out to the press for everybody. Speaking of us being in the news, we've had a lot of great press with our Google Pioneer Expedition program that we had both at Hilly and at Kirkstra. So we had the Daily Southtown come out to Hilly and spend about half a day with us there, and they wrote a great front page article. And then we also had CBS Morning News come out for Kirkstra. And he spent half a day with us and talked to some teachers, and some stuff got put on the cut floor, but we had a great time having both of the press out here for really this really cool event. With me, really it's working on the end of the year Power School reports, state reports, trying to get prepared to be able to roll it over and get ready for the next school year, so we're working on that. Speaking of Power School, I still am haggling all of my vendors to try to get them to save us money. So one of the things we'll be doing is extracting ourselves from Power School's hosting solution and bringing the server back, the Power School server back here. All that really means is I save the district $3,500 a year. So all that nerd talk really means a savings for the district. So that'll be happening probably towards the end of July. Finally, part of the strategic plan was looking for someone to design a new website. So I'm currently vetting different companies to give us pricing on a website redesign. I would expect we'd see that happening, at least a new website coming up in the fall. And there's also just different things of the strategic plan and the technology to-do list that we're trying to punch down as the days go by.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Lupton?
Good evening, board. On my board report, I highlighted the Parent Advisory Council's final event, or soon the summer event. So we had a great turnout. We had 60 families come, and I listed the names of volunteers, our teachers, OTs, PTs, PPS secretary, and a lot of our Southwest Cooperative staff who came out and not only spent the evening with families, but also prepared, all of the items for them to take home to use with their kids over the summer. So it just shows how dedicated they are, and it was just a wonderful event. On the back, it might not be the back view if you're scrolling down. If you scroll down, my daughter came and led the Go to Little event, so it was fun for me too as a mom to get my kids involved. And she's studying to be a special ed teacher, so it's nice for me to see what the next few years will be like for her. The Midlothian and the Crestwood Lake Forest libraries came up.
which was wonderful. And they talked to families about the summer reading program, and the Midlothian librarian learned so much. She started visiting the tables, and she learned so much about the sensory needs of our kids, generally on the autism spectrum, but other students as well. And so she planned a sensory story time at the Midlothian library. So it was exciting, like not only, you know, were they there for our families, but then this extension to our community. And we made sure we sent that out to all our principals. I think they got it out to their email list too. So that's exciting. And I think Mr. Kula cleaned room 49 that has all the special ed materials. I heard him reference that. So that was, he sent me a picture, and I was like, what room is that? So I appreciate him taking the time to get some bookshelves in there and organize it. He said, what stuff don't you need? I'm like, we need everything in there. It might not look like it, but we need it, so thank you very much. And Dr. Moore said, you know, with this delay in grants, it's actually, I don't know if anyone would agree with me, but for me, it's been kind of a blessing because usually we're jumping right into that, and with the delay, Dr. Morris and I really started looking at data. If you peek in our offices, it's everywhere. So we are looking at student performance data by student, by teacher, by grade level at each building, by grade level district-wide. And then we'll even be able to really drill down and look at some of these interventions that we used this year. So we're really going to start the year next year in a position like we have at no other time. We have really solid research-based interventions to best that have been field tested with struggling learners, you know, whether they have a disability or not. So we're just way ahead of the game. Normally we're like scripted to get done, and we're like knee deep in it. Believe it or not. Any questions?
Thank you. Mr. Beaver?
Good evening, everyone. Since school's been out, we've really been focusing on the outdoor appearance of the buildings. That's stuff that's been kind of lax in the last few years, and there's not a lot of time for it. The weather's been good. We're doing a lot of painting, a lot of landscaping. You guys will notice in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be tearing up a lot of concrete. It's one of our bigger projects this year. A lot of concrete is shifted over the winters and tripping hazards, and you know, we want to make sure everything's nice and safe for the first day of school. Cleaning services moving right along. We've already stripped and waxed floors in classrooms. We're painting classrooms. We're really trying to get the building in a good position for the opening of school. It's not that far away. I know no one wants to hear that, but it's only, you know, 7 weeks away. So we're just focusing on getting everything ready to go. Any questions?
7 weeks.
Yeah, that, over there on this, right by Kirkstone, that sidewalk, are we gonna put any like hooks on or anything?
That's being, you're talking about the ramp from between the two parking lots?
No, the, like literally on the sidewalk here, because like if people have strollers or.
At Kershaw?
Well, right in front of Kershaw, this, sidewalk. Right in front of the parking lot, there's like a divot, a big one.
Well, in the actual city sidewalk is the city's
Oh, they have to do
responsibility.
that, okay, so then do you ever?
The city is replacing the section in front of the playground at Kirkstra. I talked to them for that.
Yeah.
It's all broken there. They're gonna do that. We're replacing the cement inside there. The ramp in the parking lot of Kirkstra is getting completely replaced. We're teaved. There's quite a bit of concrete getting replaced throughout the district. So anything on the sidewalk is the city's. We're not really allowed to touch that.
Are you allowed to call them or no?
Sure, and we did complain about the spot right in front of the playground where the gate is, and they're tearing that up.
Okay, yeah, all right, I'll just show it to someone.
They're doing a big job in front of Foster right now on the sidewalks. They're not, I don't think they're doing our apron at all, but they are doing the sidewalk repairs. So, and I try to stay in with the village a little bit and try to nudge them along. You know, they have their budgets and their areas that they do. And they do squeeze us in. They fixed the street in front of Ridge bus lane. There were some big holes there. They actually came out and fixed that within the last week. So we're trying to work with them. But you know, we redid all the playgrounds. We seal coated, striped them. Almost everybody got new games, new stuff for the kids. So I think the kids will be excited when they get back and see their playgrounds. And
Yeah.
Any questions? Any more questions? Thank you.
Teachers representative, anybody gonna take it? Superintendent's report.
All right, so 4 items tonight. Just a reminder, heading into the July board meeting, that we have a format change. So I included a copy, a draft copy of what was approved, so you can
kind of get your mind wrapped around what we're going to be doing. The building and district administrators will submit their written reports, and then we'll have an opportunity during my report, if there's any questions from the public, just point them out, they'll be able to answer them. It's that time to finalize board members who would like to go to Triple I. So we don't want to be late on our reservation and have to make Ms. Rose beg, borrow, and steal to where we want to be. So if you're interested in going, please let me know. Within the next week or so, we'll be making reservations and holding our spot down there. As far as the blueprint, Brian stole some of my thunder, but we have been talking most notably about 21st century learning spaces coming from the O&M portion of our strategic plan. And then secondly, we're talking a little bit about one-to-one technology and what that would look like in our school district. And so task forces are being assembled, names are starting to hit pieces of paper. You may start getting phone calls about participating in such things. It's time for us to do our research to determine if we are moving forward, how should we move forward, and making sure that we give the people that we represent voice. And so you'll see parent surveys going out, things like that as we gather our information. Again, as we do those updates, we will update our work online. So people are following the blueprint online. It's a living, breathing document. It's ever changing. And there have been some other small things that have come up. Heather has contacted legislators. I've contacted legislators asking for them to get to work and pass a budget, because our budget projections and tentative budgets we're working on those now. And so there is some confusion down there about what their priorities should be, and that affects school districts. And so as we take a look at those things moving to next year, we'll help determine how ambitious we can be as far as starting to work on some of the bigger ticket items in our plan. At this time, as we're wrapping up our fiscal year, each year I like to give just a list of some highlights, some things that we've done around the district that we're particularly proud of, that involve a lot of staff, things that we wanted to hang our hat on. And so when I made this list, it was hard for me to believe it all happened in this year. So this was the year Kirchner received his Blue Ribbon Award. This is also the year where Ridge Early Childhood Center was awarded a Gold Circle of Quality. We launched Facebook and Twitter this year, which seems like it happened so long ago, but those things happened this year. We continue with our Engage 142 newsletter, which just went out. There's a superintendent's blog. I know you all know it because you all follow it religiously. We had 2,800 visits this year to that blog site. And in the June edition of the AASA magazine, they quoted my blog in the national magazine. So I sent that to my mother and father and told them that someone was listening and wanted to hear what I had to say. But all that culminated into a visit with Dr. Tony Smith, our state superintendent. So he was here, he was in the course, he went to all 4 of our schools. He spoke with myself. He's a big guy, so I had to move the seats back in my truck to get him in my truck, to get him around. But he spoke with our administrators about what he thinks. His biggest conclusion was he liked the relational manner in which we led, both from administrators to teachers and teachers to students. And I was impressed. He spoke with our students and talked to them at their level. And it was really neat to see our head education person in the state of Illinois down on his hands and knees talking to a kid there. That's a really good picture of how to engage with children, and I was impressed with that. And so that was a highlight. Also, a successful adoption of our strategic plan, the blueprint, which has now become kind of a household term around here, driving our decision-making as we move forward. We negotiated and tonight approved our SD contract. So Sandy Federer-Packer, she's the president of that union. We work hand in hand to get that project done. We hosted an online Google Classroom for teachers. So we took teachers back to school. We had 36 teachers, secretaries, paraprofessionals, people from our co-op administrators joined in an online Google platform. I'm sneaky. I did that so that we could pilot what a Google Classroom would look like, and so that teachers who are early innovators would have an idea of how they could use that with their students. We are looking at pushing some of the Google stuff out to our children this year. So you may see Gmail accounts, Google email accounts for our junior high school students, Google Documents, Sheets, ways for them to communicate like we're doing. We have computers in front of us. And so giving them some tools and teaching them how to use them to be more efficient in their learning. We created and adopted an evaluation plan through a design and a joint committee that focused on student growth. It is state mandated that student growth become a part of teacher evaluation. So that's a big project. It's very scary for teachers to have something new helping determine their quality in the classroom. So we're looking at student growth. So we did adopt that. We're ready to go for next year. We're lining up some professional development for staff at the institutes for next year, and then we're off and running. That has some major projects. Excitedly, we are projecting, keyword projecting, a positive fund balance in all funds, including the education fund. It's been 2 years of really hard work. We've told everyone no for so long that we've got our budgets in line. And so much of that depends on what comes from the state. We get our last couple of payments from the state. We make budget, or we rebalance, or even slightly have a surplus in our ed fund for the first time in a long time. Which then unlocks things that we want to do in our blueprint. So now we lead forward. And so we've done a lot of work to get our budgets in line. We should all be congratulated. We should celebrate that. It's a lot of hard work. So lastly, we held reading nights, health fairs, ice cream with the Easter Bunny, safety drills, movie nights, Goolingo. If you remember Goolingo. Fun fairs, concerts, parades. We parked online. That was also this year for the first time we did online testing. In the past we've done paper and pencil. But most importantly, to our 1,600 students, we moved them forward academically, socially, emotionally. We took really good care of them. It takes a supportive group of parents. It takes dynamic teachers. It takes great kids to make that kind of impact in the school system in just 1 year. But our work's not done. So there's an ambitious plan that's been laid out before us, and it's time to get back to work. So the most common question asked of people who work 12 months is, what do you guys do in the summer? Everything. It's when everything happens for us. So all of this strategic planning, the interviewing, the hiring, the really important work gets done preparing for the next school year. So as Tom said, I think it's a little more than 7 weeks, at least on my calendar. I need more time. But the school year will be here before we know it, and the students will be back, and we have to be ready for them. So we will. So it's been a great year, and I just wanted to celebrate some of those things.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Is there any new, old, or unfinished business to come before the board? Yes.
Any possibility of moving up the July meeting to the 12th, because a couple board members are going to be out of town? Make sure we have a quorum.
We have a vacation list for everybody, so that you're already on, so that we don't miss somebody. Roxanne, do you have vacation coming at all?
I don't vacation.
Okay. Mary, you do.
Yeah, I wasn't scheduled for it.
Okay.
I'm the week after the meeting, so if we could move it up a week instead of moving it a week now.
You have, I'm not going until the first week of August. So what does that do to the calendar?
So we can't change a board meeting. We
Right.
must post, give 10 days notice, put it in a newspaper, and
Are
post it
you-
on our doors.
Are you
I think
two
we got to
going?
move it to the 12th, because
Right,
then
are both of you going the same
we're
week?
the same week, yeah,
Okay.
on the week after.
You're the week after, so it's got to move forward, or,
We can move it to the 12th. It might be a little bigger because we have 1 week less work week between board meetings.
I'm just concerned that we would have a quorum, just in case.
Right. I'm fine with the 12th. That's
Fine with me.
the board.
do we have a consensus that the 12th will work for everybody
Yes.
at this point?
Next question, time. What time would you like to have this board meeting?
July is usually a very short meeting to begin with. It's going to be a hit and run meeting. If prior July meetings are any
There are no
indication.
committees?
There may be a curriculum and instruction committee meeting. I think Roberta was thinking
Do we have
about.
it on now?
No, I know curriculum and instruction.
Okay.
I think she wanted to cover there.
I know anything for me is probably going to have to be after 6 or 6:30 because I'll be up in Wisconsin.
We could do the curriculum and instruction at 5:30 and the board meeting at 6:30.
That's fine. Okay.
Is that for everybody?
I can be here, yeah.
So
Go ahead,
we'll
post
put
that.
the postings together and notify them.
Okay. I don't have any comments or negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. The appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, and dismissal of specific employees of the district or legal counsel for the district to determine its validity. Discussion of the minutes lawfully closed under this act, whether for purposes of approval by the body of the minutes or semi-annual review of the minutes as mandated by section 2.06.
So moved. Second.
Here, a motion and a second, any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Hollander?
Yes.
Mrs. Goff?
Yes.
Mr. Curran?
Yes.
Mrs. Canales?
Yes.
Mrs. Agler?
Yes.
Mrs. Zerman?
Yes.
We'll take a 5-minute recess and then we'll be in executive session. Everybody would please clear the room.